Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles. Today we're going to continue our little series of items that are part of the celebration of Hinamatsuri, which is a doll festival in Japan. And if you've ever seen some of the Hina displays, there's lots of little extra things other than just the Hina dolls and the attendants. And one of the things that's really common in this time of celebration is what's called hishidai and hishimochi. And the hishidai is a little table or a stand, and then on top of it is mochi that's three colors, usually pale pink, a white, and green. And it's a treat that people enjoy during Hinamatsuri, and also is recreated in kind of a lacquer kind of form to have with these displays of the Hina dolls. So I thought we'd go ahead and use some of the origami that we know to kind of make our very own version of this. And this is kind of what the hishimoshi looks like here. And it is typically kind of more diamond shaped, but because we're going to be kind of working with these little boxes that we've been working with, the rectangular boxes, I went ahead and just made them kind of like this. Sometimes they're stacked in a way so that they're uniform in shape, they're the same, and other times they progressively get smaller as you go up to the top. But they're almost always in this color pattern order, so you have pink, white, and green. And when I did this setup for this particular project, these are the kind of dimensions that I used. The smallest one here, the pink one, being 6.25 by 5 centimeters when it was finished. So use a 12.2 by 12.2 piece of paper. And then just make sure when you're folding your paper, you fold to create edges that are 6.25 and 5. And then these are just the other dimensions of the other pieces. We've got the pink one, like I said, right here. And then we also have the white one being 7.5 by 6, so you need 13.8 by 13.8 centimeter paper. And then the green one is 8.75 by 7 centimeters, so you need 15.4 by 15.4 centimeters. And then this last one here, the 10 by 8, that's going to be the actual black plate that the mochi sits on top of. And then the base, we're going to make a kind of an adapted version of a box like we did with the chocolates, but make a little more steeper finish to it so that we can create kind of like a pyramid base for everything. So I'll show you guys how to make the larger plate base to make into a rectangular box, which is the same steps that I used for making these three guys. So you'll know what to do for that. And you can certainly adjust this to any size you want. You can use the math that I showed you guys in the video for rectangular boxes if you want to see that as a reference. But I've got my paper here that is for the base plate of the hishidai, and it's 16.9 by 16.9 centimeters. Usually the hishidai is black lacquer, so I'm using some black origami paper here. And I've already kind of marked things off. I'm keeping everything at a uniform depth of 1.5 centimeters. So I've got the little marks here to show, because my size, this is 10 centimeters long and 8 centimeters wide. And then the depth of 1.5 centimeters. And if you need to see and be reminded of more careful steps and instructions for this rectangular box, you can check out the video that I have for that. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and fold my pieces here so that I can get the size that I need. And as with the video for making the rectangular box, what you first do is just mark off all of these parts so that you can then fold everything and get a nice uniform kind of beginning to everything with these creases. Try to make sure everything lines up good and you can kind of keep things straight. And then we'll be able to collapse everything down to make the finished little box that we'll use. And we'll just kind of turn it upside down so it'll serve as kind of a base for everything. See, once you've gotten a couple of those, then you can fold them up and reverse that farthest one so that you can get a nice completed edge for everything. And then I'll do this side too. And then I'll do from the other direction as well. And when you do this other side again, these should pretty much kind of line up with the sides that you've got already. So that's always a good kind of marker to make sure you're kind of doing things correctly. They should line up with these creases that we already have. And then we'll do the other side too. Once you've gotten all those creases completed, then you can kind of look at things going the long way here. And fold in one side, and we're just going to kind of collapse where this little square is, pinching it together to create a diagonal crease there to create the side of our box. And I'll do that for all of these sides so we can get the little diagonal crease that we need here. And I'll do that for both sides. And really, if you just put a little pressure, it kind of just comes together naturally, even without any pre-creasing available there. So you shouldn't have too much trouble getting that to come down. And then once you've gotten those kind of completed, you can take and fold the edge over. And then, because this is, not meant to be like a real box, it's more for decorative purposes, I think it works nice to kind of just add a tad bit of glue to keep these things down. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. If you're kind of like, one of the purists who think that glue is blasphemy in origami, then you don't need to do that, obviously. But if you want to kind of make sure that things don't shift on you later, then it can be really helpful to just put a tiny little bit right here on the tip of each of these little flaps. And that'll keep everything nice and secure in your interior part here. And that gives us the base that we're going to use for the hishidai. So I'll put that to the side. And then we're going to make, and this I've just using 15 by 15 centimeter paper. I'm going to make a box, and we'll go from there and just adjust things so we can get a nice little taper on it to create our kind of trapezoid pyramid kind of shape, I guess, it kind of looks like a pyramid without a top to it. I don't know what the name of the 3D shape of a trapezoid is, but trapezoidal something. But we'll just fold in everything like normal, make a box, and I'll show you guys then, once we get the box made, what to do so that we can get those edges to slope down. So I've got the finished box here, and we're going to do just like you kind of do when you make the chocolate. I've got the piece completed, and I've got, these are the two flaps that I folded over at the end. So I'm going to focus on that part that is got the double layer of paper on it. If I push up into here, I can kind of pinch everything along where this diagonal crease is, and you can kind of play around with how much of it you want to go for. I'm just going to kind of try to go about halfway of that edge so that I can get a really nice tapered edge for what I'm making here. And I'll just fold this part over. Once you get that folded over, then you can kind of pull the paper from the other side to create another edge to create the finished peak. So I've got a new side now up here. And then I could do the same thing with this other part that's right even with it. And you can just kind of try to keep this even in terms of the length for both of these, so you can get a nice straight edge to stuff. And I'll get this whole part kind of smoothed out. You should get a nice new beginning there to that. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the opposite side as well. And you want to try, of course, to get even sides as much as you can. If you're worried about it, you can go ahead and measure things, but I'm just kind of doing things by feel to see if I can get it right here. And then I'll get this side too. So when you're finished, you should get something that kind of looks like this, which is a nice little tapered base. And then if you just lay this on top, and if you're worried about things staying, you can go ahead and put a tad bit of glue here too, to kind of create a really complete and solid base to everything. That's just sort of a point of preference. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I'm just going to do that, and then I can kind of center where everything is here in the middle. just to make sure stuff is right. And that gives you kind of the plate, the base then, of which is called a hishidai, so that we can have the place to put our mochi. And the mochi you can just have sitting there if you like. You know, it doesn't have to be, fancy, taped or glued down or anything. But you wind up getting something that kind of looks like this, if I can hold it so you guys can see it. I'll have a photo of it, of course. But that's kind of how things look to give you this completed little part to your Hinamatsuri display. And this looks great just out next to some Hina dolls and stuff. I'll be doing a big kind of display, and I'll show you guys how to kind of make everything for the display and the sizes of paper and such for that. But that's our little finished project for today. I have some more fun things for us to use with Hinamatsuri in the days to come.